Seventh grade, it's week 17, and we're talking about earthquakes. You should be able to identify how quakes act along transform plate boundaries at the end of this lesson. So, what does the future hold for San Francisco? The last large earthquake along the San Andreas Fault in the San Francisco area was in 1906. The city was devastated. Studies show that big quakes occur every 125 years or more. Small quakes seem to precede large ones, and there have been some small ones in recent years. What do you think that means to the future for San Francisco? The last major quake was in 1906. Major quakes occur about every 125 years. What year is it? Transform plate boundaries produce enormous and deadly earthquakes. These quakes at transform faults are shallow focus. This is because the plates slide past each other without moving up and down. The San Andreas Fault that runs through much of California is an enormous transform plate boundary. It is the plate boundary between the Pacific and North American plates. The largest earthquake in recorded history on the San Andreas Fault occurred in 1906. The quake's epicenter was just north of San Francisco. About 3,000 people died and 28,000 buildings were lost, most in the fire that followed the earthquake. There are many other faults spreading off the San Andreas to take up the plate motion. In total, the San Andreas Fault system produces around 10,000 earthquakes a year. While most of these earthquakes cannot even be felt by people nearby, occasionally one is very strong. In the San Francisco Bay Area, the Hayward Fault is the site of a magnitude 7 quake in 1868. Other significant earthquakes in California include the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake near Santa Cruz and the 1994 Northridge earthquake near Los Angeles. 3 people died in the mall in Santa Cruz during the 1989 Loma Prieta quake. Although California is prone to many natural hazards, including volcanic eruptions at Mount Shasta or Mount Lassen, and landslides on coastal cliffs, the natural hazard of the state has linked with is definitely earthquakes. But they're not the only ones that have transform fault problems with earthquakes. New Zealand also has a transform fault with a strike-slip motion causing about 20,000 earthquakes a year. Only a small percentage of those are large enough to be felt. A 6.3 quake in Christchurch in February 2011 killed about 180 people. So to summarize, transform fault quakes have shallow focus because their plates meet near the surface. And as we've learned before, if it's a shallow focus, there's a lot of damage. The San Andreas Fault is actually a fault zone made up of a number of other active faults. Also, New Zealand has a transform fault zone at its plate boundary. So, you should be able to, at this point, identify how quakes act along transform plate boundaries. Feel free to go on to the questions if you do. Otherwise, view the video one more time and take a few notes because you're welcome to use those on the questions. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.